Sit cross-legged or in virasana as it is comfortable to you. Sit up straight, sit on support. We are in a discussion, in an interaction with the body, mind, and breath, starting now, not after this. This is the formal beginning. So arrange yourself with respect in all senses of the word to this body. Elevate it so that the mind and the breath can permeate the body. If you sit with too much tension, the mind and breath cannot penetrate. The body is rigid. So give some support so that this leg can release down and the trunk can release up, shoulders back. Close your eyes. The upper lid should soften. If it cannot fully rest on the lower lid, rest as in relax and be quiet. If you have to squeeze and struggle to keep the eye closed, stop struggling. Let the eye stay open, but take the gaze down. So your field of vision is not, so that your visual sense stops actively seeking. Let the eye itself receive. It's not technically important that the eye close. It's more important that the visual sense drop away from the outside into the back of the skull. The pupil of the eye recedes. Likewise, the ears, not reaching outward for sound. The ear stays neutral. And in that neutrality, you can trace the root of that sound all the way in. The sense organs are doorways out and in, like any door. So you can't close the ear. Well, you physically can, but in ordinary life, you can't close the ear, but you can certainly change the direction of your hearing. We do this all the time. Similarly, change the sensitivity of the pores of the skin, of the tongue, from its tip, release to its root. Keep this quietness. Join your palms. Try to make this interior space clean, uncluttered. an open room. With you seated, yourself, nothing else. Keep an image of the sage Patanjali in this space with you. Allow sage Patanjali to practice with you in this inner space. Bow to your practice. And release your hands. Raise your head. Open your eyes and stretch your legs straight. Now you can be flat on the floor or staying on your support. If you're on your support, sit far enough back that it isn't just your buttock on the edge of the blanket, but it's also the thigh. You need thigh on that blanket. So you sit, take whatever support you need. Keep your spine upright. Okay, that's all. Stand up. I'm going to lift the camera a little bit so you get a slightly better view. Now, I think you will need a wall, and a number of you might, in fact, make use of a chair. Okay, I'm going to put it to my right side. And it doesn't need a sticky mat on it. That's not important. Just a surface. Okay, that's not for everybody, but we might try it. Here you go. Stand straight in Tadasana, joining those big toes, the inner heels. Oh, forgot this. Come to a bare wood floor. Just a bare floor. I should turn the camera down. What did we do? Some of you missed this right before class began, but there was a question. So now we're going to use it as an approach. Here you are in Tadasana. You fold over, bend your knees, and pick up and stretch. Try to pull that foot forward and pull. I don't mean physically move it on the floor, but stretch that heel back and the toes forward. Only do one side. Don't do both. And once you've done it very well, twice with your hands pulled, stand up and compare. Don't do the second foot. Only do the first foot. Only the first foot. And then stand up. And now, just standing up, initially the sensation of the feet is quite different, yes? One foot feels, yes, right? Okay, so now as you try to do Tadasana and stand on those 2 feet, do you not feel a difference in how you connect through even the bones of the foot? There's a difference in the way the whole leg finds its way to the floor. Now fix the other foot. Go, bend. Make the second foot like the first foot. Repeat the actions twice so you really get a good response. Julia, is that a cat watching you practice? Yes. Uh-huh. There's Phyllis has a dog somewhere lurking, watching. Chai's, yeah, the animals are welcome. Although they are very good photo bombers like Julia's is right now. But I trust you, Julia, that your feet are doing the right thing. Stretch both legs through to the heels, through to the bones. So the animals, you must treat them like they're your helpers, not your hindrances. They're watching your practice. Okay, so there's a couple of things going on. One is the physical extension of the foot and doing the pose just with that. And then there's adding, you might say, the action of the bones or the whole limb. Camera's coming up again. You need to go near a wall. And I'm gonna pull some sticky out of action. So I'm near a wall now. So balance is easy. I could even be standing straight and just my elbow. It's like if this line right here is the wall, I'm just away from it so my elbow can touch if I need balance, or the hand. So you're not far. Join those feet. Can you bend over without the wall knocking you over, and stretch your feet joined? The other way to do it is just pick up the heel and drag back away from the toes. You can do it through the foot itself. It's not quite as nice. And if you have bunions, your hands can help you spread your toes. Now, stand there. Tadasana. Stretch from the hip down to the back thigh to the heel. Stretch forward through the toes. Come up through the trunk, all the way through to the skull, and release the arms down from the skull. Keep both sides of the rib cage lifting, Karen, so you don't over pull that one shoulder. As much as from the back of the neck and those trapezius and the back of the arm, as much as that back body is stretching down, the lower shoulder blades coming down, the side rib muscles drawing down, the inner ribs come up. Okay, Urdhva Hastasana. I'm going to sit so you see my whole arm. You stay standing from Tadasana, arms to horizontal. Now, this horizontal, most of us lift here. Don't lift here. From the skull, extend down and out. That lower shoulder blade stays down. Sides of the neck long in that stretch to the arm. And they stay that way as you come up. Okay. Keep your elbows straight. Squeeze your elbows, stretch up. Release, come out. This time you're going to take a rest in Tadasana and get all that grip out of the shoulders. Let it come out. When you go up again, this was going up, palms facing each other. This time, well, intermediate. This time, interlock the thumbs and turn your palms down. Okay, and stretch them out so the arms are stretching forward. In this position, look, don't let the fingers flap. They're gonna try. When the shoulder is weak, the fingers start wiggling. Keep them lined up. Likewise, these thumbs, it's the thumb print you've got squeezing against the other thumb print. So the action is to push those thumbs up. Don't hook them down, push them up. Okay? And from the base of the skull, stretch out and up you come. Pull those thumb prints, squeeze your arms in, stretch your arms up. You may feel flappy fingers, buttocks down, ribs up. Stand on those feet, stretch your toes, stretch your big toes. Now lower the arms. I hope this was more comfortable. Lower the arms, rest for a second. Now you got to certain cross the thumbs. There's an instinctive cross. Do it again. Find your cross, that first cross. You see it? Reverse it. Change to the uncomfortable thumb. Yes? Okay. Repeat the pose. Stand straight. Hips to heels. Take your arms to horizontal. See how the fingers try to change. This is because of your shoulders. Fix those fingers. Push your thumbprints away from you and go up from the base of the skull. I have to bend my elbows to get around my skull. You may too. Don't let your skull get in the way. Push the base of the skull, let's go. So the line stretching to those fingers doesn't change. Do you see this is my left hand. It looks like you're right. This is my weak left shoulder trying to help out. I have to strengthen that weak part of the shoulder. Exhale, come on. Are you okay? Nobody's messing with the shoulder socket. You're good? All right. So interlock your fingers. We're just going to do this briefly, but let me point out. We started this way, and then we turned this way, trying to keep that same action up here. Now we're going to go farther, right? It was here, then it was palms down, which is an internal rotation of the forearm. Keeping the shoulder doing its original action. And now we're going to take that internal rotation farther and still keep that shoulder releasing. And you know what? It still goes toward the thumb, right? In this one, we were pulling those thumb prints out. Here, the thumb prints touch, and the root of the thumb right here pushes forward. Up you go. Release from the skull. Turn those forearms in. Squeeze your elbows to each other until you squeeze your skull. Push down through your heels. Come up through your back ribs. Roll your triceps in. Your right triceps needs more rolling, Karen. Both arms, Phyllis. Push up close through the ribs to the ceiling. Stretch your elbows, Chaya. Good, come out. Now, some legs. Here you are at the wall. Everybody's got a chair or something like a chair. All you need is a horizontal surface. It could be a table, but it should be firm. So you stand in Tadasana and the hands could be on the hips and the elbows touching, or you could not use the wall at all and work your balance. Now stretch those feet, spread and stretch the feet as you need to, and then keep your left foot, left hip, left side as is, and put your right foot on the chair. Now, from the side, my right foot, I don't know if you can see this, is in line with my left toes, not the heel. It's the toes. So my foot is forward on that chair seat, not back. Not yet. Bring it forward toward the toe side and turn it so it's parallel to the chair seat. And the shin vertical and the left thigh vertical. So move this thigh down. Sorry, first things first, pull this hip up, this side, way up, this thigh up. Even as the back thigh is standing on the heel, keep the outer thigh pulled up so the outer hip comes up. Now put this thigh down. Keep this lifting. Push this thigh down until your butt bones are level. Outer thigh down. Front pelvis up. Now figure out how, you know, how we did this arm work, that internal rotation. Keep this inner heel on the chair. Keep stretching forward to the big toe on the chair. So you're doing the same thing or attempting the same thing through your feet that we were doing before. And can you feel what is happening in the hip in your effort? Just briefly, take the arms up. You can interlock your fingers and then release, come out. So you get a complete moment. Change your pose, sides. Re-stretch those feet. Today is the day where every time you make a point of getting your foot right. Then pick up that left foot, put it on the chair seat. Now you begin to make your adjustments. That foot is standing very nicely on the floor as best you can. This is very tricky, actually. This is like an intermediate action that you have to hunt for. Stretch through all of your toes, not just the big toe. And pull up this outer hip. Standing leg, it's got to lift. It's got to come up before the bent leg comes down. It has to come up as the bent leg comes down. And after leveling this pelvis, you feel it either through how you feel your butt bones, or you can put your hands on your hip blades and feel them. You feel these bones. Now reach from the inner knee and the back of the calf to the heel. Can you, in fact, reach, kind of let go of that inner thigh and hamstring down to that heel? The outer thigh is still tucking. The inner thigh is lengthening. And the trunk comes up and the arms come up however you want to. You know, like you can't see it here, but you could also just cross your elbows and pull up. I just want some rib lift there, and then release come out. Now, those with hip issues can stay with the chair, but the way you continue with the chair might look like this. You raise your support, and as we do more vrikshasana, you might actually start doing more pose, you see, with support under the foot, okay? So those who have the hip people, bursitis people, people who have lots of whatever limitation issues, also knee bending. The chair continues to be useful for people with knee problems. So off we go toward vrikshasana. If you have questions about this, I can re-demonstrate, but let's see what we get. You might use a strap, take hold of your ankle, stand up tall, pull up all the height through that left leg, and then place the right heel against the root of the left thigh. Do not fall down. Come back up. So we very typically say this outer thigh of your standing leg is pressing in. But I mean to say it comes in order to stand down and stretch up. So don't just push endlessly. This leg is doing the same thing. From the hip socket, from the buttock bone, that leg is standing on the heel and stretching through the toes. The outer thigh, like both legs, tucks into the hip socket and the trunk lifts. Balancing as you're able. Take your arms up. Stretch up tall. Now, the interesting thing here is make sure both groins have the same length, or at least observe that they don't. Out you come. So Karen, instead of putting bricks up, I might be exaggerating, but instead of coming up very high like this at my height, your height is too high for that pelvis to level. And if you got it, keep watching, there's more. If you adjusted so it was level, it's missing the point. Instead of raising the heel, toes, you raise the heel so the knee can come down. Okay, so your idea is this has to open.
Okay, so the standing leg has to approach there.
Right,
okay.
It's not martyasana,
okay,
as we would say. All right, side two. So Chaya, that what you were just showing, put your foot back up there. Okay, your toes should be closer to the edge of the chair and your thigh. Bring that standing leg in closer. Walk your foot in closer. That's it. So you're approaching contact, heel to thigh. Yes, Yes. And work to take the knee out. Yeah. Yeah. Lower knee, Karen, remove the brick. Time, and you too, like Chaya, you have to get your thigh in closer to the heel. Change sides, Chaya.
Ooh,
Get
okay.
much closer now. Bring your lifted foot closer to the thigh. Bring your lifted foot, your left heel. Yeah, toes, bring it in, right to the chair. Put it on the chair. Oh, okay, take Vrikshasana. This is for when you can't do Vrikshasana, Karen. So
Okay.
put your foot on your thigh. Do Vrikshasana.
But I can't get all the way up into my groin. If I
Well, it's better than being on the chair.
Okay, all right. So that's okay like that.
You only use the chair when you don't have the knee flexion or when the hip really complains with the groin opening. You just
I can
take
do it. Yeah, I can do
as
it.
much. Yeah, do it.
All right, like that.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. A little bit like that.
Come out. Okay. Now, we're going to take, using a chair, we're going to take Utthita Parshva Konasana. So you take your chair and put it on your right side. And it would be a lovely, it's more important that you have a sticky mat on the chair seat than on the floor. So if you only have one sticky mat, put it on the chair seat. And a brick. Now, I'm going to sit sideways on the chair and I'm putting this foot on the floor like Vrikshasana, meaning inner heel, inner knee, inner groin aspired to be in line. Edge of the chair seat, right, all the way down. And then a brick goes in front. So I turn forward and stretch my back foot. Sorry, perhaps too close. Stretch my back foot. Ideally in line with my front heel. Ideally, practically speaking, whatever the hips determine, this foot may have to come forward. I'm going to turn sideways so you see my foot and thigh of this front leg are in line with the chair. The back heel lines up with my front heel. I don't know if the camera shows that well enough. Okay. And I stretch that back leg. So if the hips are tight, you come forward with the back foot, not your front leg.
So the toes of the back foot are in line with the heel of the front foot?
The heel, the knee, the buttock bone of the front leg are in line. And in theory, the back leg heel is in line. In practice, it may have to come a bit forward to allow you to keep this bent leg right where it's supposed to be. Now, come down to a tall or medium height brick. Okay, I hope you recognize this is different from Vrikshasana. Big fold in the thigh. that outer thigh down, push your arm down, lift your trunk toward your head, toward the ceiling, toward your head. Roll the ribs, then you can stretch this arm. Now turn that palm. Don't go thumb in, turn the thumb out and stretch. Then you come back and come up, and you can come out facing forward. That back leg just turns and swings forward. Turn around, change sides. So you could turn the chair around. I'm going to watch this one. So put your thigh on that chair seat. And if you don't have a sticky mat, just sit on the chair seat because you don't want the blanket sliding. Sit low enough that your heel is on the floor. So if you're a small person, you may put a blanket or a brick underneath your foot so that the heel gets grounded, then you can actually push through the inner heel as we do in Vrikshasana. Then you stretch that right leg back, and then you begin turning laterally into the pose. Lean over that leg, lean over the bent leg. Don't be upright at first, Karen. Lean over. It's like Parshva Konasana. Then you lengthen the trunk and come down to your brick, tall, medium, short. It's the left hand that's coming down to the brick, Phyllis, so you face the camera. Lengthen that trunk. Press from the hip sockets to the heels. So that strength in the leg is almost the sort of strength that would lift you off the chair seat, but it doesn't. Just strengthen the leg. Now the arm goes, after you turn those ribs, take the arm over your head. Chaya, make the bottom ribs go farther. Take your hand down to the brick and use that push on the brick to move the bottom ribs. Bottom ribs long, away from the hips. Release, come out.
I've got a question for the back leg, Devon. At
Yeah.
least on this side. When I extend my back leg, I'm on the interior border of the foot. I have a lot of trouble getting the.
You gotta push from the buttock bone to the heel, the way you do in Tadasana.
Okay.
And the way you do on the standing leg in Vrikshasana. Let's work with Virabhadrasana 2 just for a second on this chair. I'm gonna face you, and it'd be nice if you would face me. If you can't, don't worry, don't fuss. But you're gonna go upright, lean forward to arrange that back leg. See, I'm leaning forward to take all the pressure off this pelvis. Okay, I just try to make it easy, and I swing that leg back and I get my heels lined up. Now I'm going to Vira 2. So I have to extend my trunk. So I'm going this way with the trunk. After pushing through those legs, as a matter of fact, the more I push through that back leg and this back leg, the more this pelvis comes up. This back leg, okay? If you only tuck your back leg this way, your pelvis will drop into the thigh. You have to push from the buttock to the knee to the heel, and that pelvis comes up. Then you can do Virabhadrasana 2. Do it. Some of you are doing. Some of you need to start doing. So push through those legs. Push through this back thigh to the heel. It lifts you off the chair partially. Yes? Stretch your arms. Keep that trunk coming upright. Don't lean into the pose. Use the hips to lift your trunk. Phyllis, you got a big cramp? You okay? You're all right. All right. Come out, everybody. Change sides. I would ask you to stand up first in Tadasana. Feet joined so you can neutralize, you might say, those hips. And change sides. So the important leg here is the bent leg, front leg. Make sure it stays parallel. You're turning your foot out a lot, Karen. Your left foot is your front leg foot is turning out, I think, too much. I can not quite see it in the camera frame, but it looks it. Okay. Now you stretch that back leg and organize yourself from the hip socket to the heel. That lighting is better just now. Maybe keep that light on. And move from your right buttock bone, your front leg, whatever that is, the bent leg. Buttock bone to the knee, to the heel. The straight leg. Buttock bone, hip socket to the back of the leg, to the back of the heel, Karen. Is it happening yet? Another reason to move the foot slightly toward me, an inch of back leg, your right foot, moving it toward me might give you a better stretch through that hamstring. Maybe.
While you're stretching, how do you prevent the back bend?
More leg. That's pretty much it. Let's try it from a different angle. Okay, and see if we can get rid of the back trouble. Was that true? This is Lena asking, yes?
Yes.
And it was both sides, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
My body just tends to go in the front, the upper body.
Right. So let's look at Vrikshasana again. You can use your chair. You can use the support that works for you. But here I am facing you sideways, so you see the back and the front. And my left side is to the wall. The leg that's going to bend is away from the wall. Yeah? Okay. So I spread those toes and I stand up straight. Right here in Tadasana, Lena, you can get information about the tendencies that are, going to show up later. Okay, so you've got to broaden these back hips, and it isn't just the skin that rolls toward the floor. In between the skin and the bone, there's a layer of muscle. The inside of that muscle, dig your fingers in so you kind of are talking to that inner layer of muscle and send it down. you will perhaps, if you're like me, one of your sides, that buttock muscle doesn't really want to go down. It's staying hard. Soften that buttock muscle and broaden it. Okay, so you get the idea. At least you maybe have some observation. So the right foot comes up either to the chair, and I'm going to tell you again, if you're using a chair, it can't be so high. And now you can't be so high that you can't get that butt down. So don't take Marjasana. Okay? Place the heel as close to the root of that standing thigh as you can. Extend through the leg, the lower leg, so the grip, the meeting between that foot and thigh is good. Move the standing thigh, not foot, thigh, back. Standing thigh, back. Standing leg, back. That makes your buttock stick out. Now, roll that buttock flesh down. Lift the pubis up. Take this buttock down. Lift this groin up. Can you train the buttock here? Can you make that buttock go down? Yes, the bent leg buttock. And the bent leg side groin lift. Come out, stand in Tadasana. 2 feet together. So Phyllis, it looks like those hips are pretty stiff. You can work on a chair if it helps. You can be as you are, but let me say the pelvis should face forward in your case. The knee is going to come forward for you, but let the pelvis face square forward, or else it will bother the standing hip and knee. So stay aligned. That's true for everybody. Side 2, Lena, are your buttocks understanding more of the situation here?
Yeah, trying to, yes.
Yes, good. Side 2. Pelvis faces whatever is forward to you. Place the heel. Don't curl your lifted toes into the leg. Extend that foot like a broad open hand. Push through the shin calf to the heel. Stand way tall through the straight side and begin keeping your Phyllis. Your foot can be forward more. Turn your ribs and trunk to face the camera more. That's right. Your knee is just going to come forward. And that's the way it is. Keep the navel, pubis, sternum in line. And the hip is as it is. And you work there. Right. So if you need to bring your foot forward to be able to get more openness in that groin. Karen, standing thigh back. Then the buttock comes down. Standing leg thigh has to be at vertical. So you can stretch from buttock, back leg to heel. That's what gives you some contact with the buttock. Now lift your back ribs, Emilia. Yeah. And out you come. Vrikshasana is a pose you can stay in for a while. Are you okay? All right. Adho Mukha Svanasana. downward, sorry, pops out of the way, downward facing dog. Now, we had this interaction with the hands this way, and then we went farther. So in dog pose, you're in that middle ground. Don't interlock your thumbs, but the palms internally rotated. So what that means is you really do need to balance these wrist bones. And as we did before, you've got to release from the skull around this outer shoulder and out through the hand. Okay, so this arm turns and you stretch. It's like stretching from your hamstrings to your heels. This is like stretching in dog pose. Keep your inner tongue down, release that skull. And you should mute yourself, whoever you are, Karen, who's making little noise there. And up you go. From the skull. Now, raise your heels. You're on your toes in this dog pose. Raise the heels so you can feel the extension through each of your, many toe bones. 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 toe bones. 5 long bones in the foot. Stretch that top ankle away from your toes. And stretch from the hip socket, butt bones to the heel. The inner thigh releases and gives you lift and space in the groins. If you're not getting that, raise your heels. Maybe walk your feet back further. Stretch those arms from the skull out. 14 finger bones, each hand. 5 long bones, stretch them. 2 forearm bones, equally stretching. Release, come out, rest.
Question, Devon. So if the forearm is rotating in and the upper arm is rotating out,
Yes.
you said the leg is doing the same thing. Would that mean the tibia is? No. Okay.
Well, let me say, the tendencies are similar, but the leg is functionally quite different from the arm. Structurally, it is very related. However, you are in Tadasana stretching this part to go to the floor. This is, in fact, lifting. This is pushing down. When your arm goes overhead, you are extending. This part is releasing. This part is extending. That's very similar. Leg. The mechanical, let's put it this way, the mechanical stretch is through the forearm, through this outer arm and deltoid. It's the inner arm and the inner leg that is the groin, and it's more a receiver, not an actor. So when you want to stretch the arms, you do not do it here. Don't push it from here, right? It's the outer body.
Part, okay.
This is the structural doorway to the inner body. So don't close it, don't lock it. Use the outer body, the outer arms, the forearms. Use the extremities. You'll feel it when you think like that, when you try to sense it that way. Now, can you do another dog pose, please? Now, somebody with shaking wrists, if you have very sore wrists, sometimes it depends on what's wrong. But with, say, carpal tunnel problems, which are common enough, I'm building a little support here, if you can see. And then I put, it doesn't look like much, okay? And you see how I'm almost sliding off it. My palm slides to the floor, but my wrist is fully supported. And when I go up, it takes actually the weight off the wrist. The wrist doesn't collapse. And I know this because I was an archaeologist for a lot of years, and there's wrist damage from swinging a pickaxe. And a shovel made my wrist really got them injured. So there was a while there where I had to work with support like this a lot. It's not the only thing that goes wrong with wrist, so I can't say it's everybody's solution. Okay. Stretch your legs, stretch your arms. All right. New pose. Come on out. Let's see. We're going to do 2 poses between now and the end of class. For the second one, you'll need either a bolster, and if you don't have a bolster, then you need 2, and it depends on the thickness of your blankets, maybe 3. You're going to take blankets and roll one around the other, sort of loosely. If you see this, I'm making a slightly flat roll, and it becomes like a bolster. Now, this is 2 blankets, and it's kind of small compared to a regular bolster, so I might add a 3rd blanket. You got the idea? You need to manufacture a bolster or have one. Do that now. And I will just take a 3rd. Now, you know, you can also use bath towels. You can use couch cushions, which sometimes are quite soft and basically useless by themselves, but if you wrap them in a towel, they become more firm. So you can transform household goods into yoga props. Okay, bolster. Now, put it aside. Camera's got to go down just a hair. Chatushpadasana. And on this bolster, said Tuban, catch your ankles and bring your feet in as close as you can to your buttocks. In the event that you cannot catch your ankles, then you take a strap and catch your ankles with it and bring your ankles down. So they are symmetrical and about hip width. So what have we now? You let go. Put your palms down. Inner palm down. Outer shoulder down. Stretch the arm from the skull. Now, when you come off your hips, stretch your foot first. Make sure your foot is long. Then press keeping the inner foot down. It's not the groins that are squeezing to lift you. It is the outer thighs and the hip socket that lifts. If you have, don't turn your head, but if you happen to see me, my hands are touching my outer thighs, pointing there as the lifting place, not the groins, not the inner thighs. Palms down, outer shoulders down. Now rest, come down, exhale, rest. If you have trouble with the knees in this pose, one choice is to move your feet away from you slightly. The other is to raise your feet on 2 bricks if they're steady, don't slip. You could even hold on to a chair that would raise you up quite high, but it is an option. So if the knees bother you, take steps. Up you go one more time. Arrange your arms, palms down, thumb side down, inner wrist bone down, outer shoulder down, and stretch that back arm from the skull. Up you come through the hips. Now the hips go as high as they're willing to go, then re-roll and press those shoulders to lift your ribs more, lift your spine more. Now the way you're gonna get your hips and chest to come up more is move that back thigh, extend it. How do I put that? Push your back calf toward the heel, and the hips are going to start to come away from that calf. Lift your thigh. Release, come out. Roll to your side, come up sitting. Locate that bolster or bolster equivalent and put it down in a place where you've got some headroom and foot room, right? You can stretch out beyond the borders. And you've got a strap that you narrow to, let's say, approximate hip width. I mean, it can be not too much wider than hip width. Now, set to pata. Sit on the very end of this bolster. And absolutely, if you're wearing a shirt collar that's close to your throat, pull the shirt forward so your collar is quite loose in front. Then lie down spine-wise without being tippy. Do not be tippy. This is quite important that you feel settled and balanced. Then you hold your head, and I'm pushing through those back calves to the heels to roll my shoulders to the floor. And I mean shoulders, not skull. So this top back shoulder that I'm poking at with my fingers, that shoulder blade has to go to the floor. So that if I stick my fingers underneath, I'm gonna be blocked. The shoulders roll to the floor, the chest rolls up. So you have this loop in your strap. You put a foot in. This is where it's important to not be tippy. You will fall over. And keeping that strap around your feet, stretch your legs out. Let your arms go to the sides. And adjust. You see how I'm pushing a little bit? Adjust so those shoulders stay on the floor when your legs are straight. At which point, there's nothing to do. Now, some of you I cannot see either because your screen is dark or because you're out of frame. So I'm only, and you don't have to fix a thing. I'm just going to address what I see, which looks pretty good. Now, the arm position can vary. And it can vary from the arms going kind of at a 45-degree angle down towards your sides, not closing the armpits, but you might say lowered arm if you were in Tadasana. And the second pose, which most people like better, is a wide arm pose, spread out 90 degrees from the spine. Now, I didn't mention this, but there are some shoulder problems that really benefit from a blanket rolled under the wrists. That top, chest, and shoulder girdle can relax if the wrists are elevated. So in any case, see if you here can relax the wrist. So you've got some contact with your thighs and the bolster. And it's more the inner thigh. The outer thigh is kind of released, hanging, outer hip released. It's the roundness of the bolster that lets the body spread side to side. Even though there is this spreading side to side, keep feeling that inner thigh dropping straight down. Yes, if the low back bothers you, Lena, one thing you can do is put your calves on a chair so the low back is long. It is the same problem. Those buttocks don't go down. Yes. And that chair seat will go right up against the back of the knee. And you still keep your chest open. Don't let your chest fall off that bolster. Keep it taut. Now, the rest of you, it is time to come out. So prepare yourself first, find out where you are. Make sure the mind and the breath and the body are all going together as you bend your knees. And as you push that bolster away from you, Now, some of you are going to also want to put your calves on a chair, or maybe just put the knees over the bolster. Others of you will be happy lying flat. Make sure the buttocks are broad. Back ribs long and broad. Slow, soft, steady exhalation and inhalation. So in Shavasana, draw back in to that inner space. Examine yourself from the inside. Let go everywhere. Let loose everywhere. Sometimes when you are in your inner room, objects and thoughts and people and what they say intrude. So when this room that you're in, this inner world you're in, starts getting cluttered, your practice should be to look between those objects at the spacious room instead of the objects in it. The meditation teachers say it's like contemplating the sky. They want you to have a blue sky mind. When the mind is preoccupied, what happens is you start scrutinizing the clouds that are crossing your field of vision. But the meditative approach is to recognize the sky beyond those clouds. You may stay in Shavasana, and I would say Namaskar. And I will close the meeting on time. Bye. Next time.